Good morning and welcome to Brandenburg News Network. I am Donna Brandenburg. And let's see, it is the 13th day of June 2025. Big week. Lots to talk about today. I just got back from DC and I ended up getting in after midnight last night. Got to sleep finally at 2 o'clock because I was watching all of the conflict in the Middle East. And I have a lot on my mind this morning. That's why I decided to jump on. From having a front row seat in what's going on around us, I think it gives me a unique perspective to talk about several different issues and maybe cut through the narrative a little bit. I'm going to bring my friends in, Karen, Ralph, and Dr. David. I know Chris is going to join us in a few minutes, and I think that maybe Shawn will too. So, but anyhow, oh, here comes Chris. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. So glad to see everybody. I was saying before you came on that I just got back from DC last night, and I have a unique perspective on what's really going on out there, including the drive out there. I did post some videos and pictures and such, but I really want to just let everybody know that this is the time absolutely not to panic. Even no matter what you see out there, take a breath and realize that most of what we're seeing is absolutely fake and false. Yeah. And you know what? We won this war before it even started. And
which war? What war?
The
Big one.
Seems like there's a lot of them going on.
No, the war, not the optics war, but the war that's going on right now. And I think that this is a wonderful time for calm in the time of an apparent war. And there is a war going on, but it's an information war. And the players involved in it are we the people right now. And being able to cut through the crap and seeing things for what it is. I was there with several other friends from Michigan, and I can guarantee you that I was probably that was definitely the only one that was voicing or that was bringing things to the surface that I saw, myself and Erlina. But there were some things there that were put out in the news that I'm going to tell you were absolutely optics and wasn't what was on the ground. And
Were there a lot of people there? Was it full?
It was not full. And, it's like there's some things I need to process a little bit before I put it into words, because I think that, first of all, nobody would believe me if I told them what I saw. Because the programming is so strong that there were a couple other people that were there with us from Michigan, and they couldn't see through what was there.
Can you tell us where you were?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I posted it. I was at the Kennedy Center at the alleged opening of Les Mis. Yeah. And I was there. And I wasn't all over DC like I normally am, but I was in specific locations. And looks like Ralph joined back again. Hey, Ralph. I was in specific locations, but what was really interesting to me, and I think that we need to talk about this, because what's being set up, and I saw it on the trip into DC, is absolutely one of the biggest sting operations in the history of the United States.
On your way, can you repeat that? On your way to DC?
We drove, because we drove in there. We drove to DC, and what I saw along the way there was pretty much, I'm in construction, all right, and I can call bullshit and see it from a mile away. The construction on the road was absolutely not what it appeared. And we were told a while back that you're going to see a lot of military people in plain clothes. That's exactly what I saw. because when you see construction equipment and you see the amount of cones and barricades and that sort of thing on the road, and I'm not talking just like in one spot, I'm talking for miles and 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 miles. And the necking down of people's ability to travel, you know how you never see construction equipment on the road next to cones. So let's just say there's 2 lanes, right? And this is minimally what I'm going to talk about, because I need to be able to put this in words so that people don't freak out when I tell them what exactly was going on or what I saw, because it's going to be hard for people to accept this. And they're going to call me a liar. They're going to call, but you know what? I was there. I
I won't call you a liar.
Yeah. Other
Tell
people.
me what you saw.
The narrative creators are never there. They're just like passing things on. I have been on the ground at all of these places, and my thoughts were confirmed. What I saw there at the Kennedy Center. Anyhow, I'll talk about it a little bit, I guess. We'll see how this rolls out, because I never know what I'm going to talk about when I get on here. But
Donna, before you continue, when you're talking about the roads, was it the whole way from Michigan to DC, or are you talking just in DC?
No, it was the whole way.
Oh.
It was the entire way. And we saw a lot of military, and we saw, I can't even tell you how many miles of cones and barricades, where there were some places where it looked like they were working on the bridges, but they weren't. But they would have 2 construction workers on top of a bridge looking over the bridge, looking like they're doing something, but nothing was going on. Oh. That is station troops, if you want to know my opinion on it, because I work in construction. There's no way. You never see that. I mean, if you're going to see construction, they're either working or they're ghosted. You don't see people posted on top of bridges. You don't see vehicles posted on the main highways across the United States. You don't see large vehicles posted on the bridges, I'm going to say allegedly to stop people from throwing crap off the bridges. Oh. They're damaging people. I've never in my life seen construction vehicles parked, and I'm going to say parked, in the passing lane with cones next to that, necking the traffic down to one lane, no construction going on. Those vehicles were blocking that passing lane and necking down. It was traffic control. And in my opinion,
do you think that they're vetting for who enters, because they're expecting something on the 14th?
I think that as soon as shit gets real, if it's real or imagined, they're going to be able to take those vehicles and run it right across both lanes and completely shut the grid down. And wherever the rats are, they're going to be trapped. And so that's exactly what I'm seeing there. And Chris is smirking because he knows I'm right. And also the amount of CGI. Okay, so I have a long history of, I don't know how to say this. Oh, I have to take this call. This is an important call. Okay, talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
Well, what do you guys think?
Well, it's interesting. I remember Tori talking about highways and stuff once, and how they can narrow them down to control the flow.
More importantly, to control who's leaving.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it seems like if they're doing it from people on a bridge, you wouldn't really be able to keep track of it all.
Yeah, well, here's what I was thinking about this, because I saw a post where I don't remember who it was. I don't know how they do it. But remember back when we were really heavy into getting election data, and we were finding out that they were collecting cell phone data from the people that were in certain locations. J6 was one. Then when we had, well, they're still doing that. And so they're monitoring currently, according to the post I saw, who is at what location for the protesting. So
Good.
if they're doing that, let's say all over the country, and they know that there's certain people that are at the various protests or at other locations where they're planning it or causing problems of one form or another, then they can certainly track their travel routes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
so that
now
would
they've
kind of
got
explain to me what Donna was seeing on the highway. If they are tracking these people, they know where they're going and when, or they have a guesstimate. So that was one idea that I had about it.
well,
That's a
and two,
good
they're
thought.
not just tracking cell phones; they're tracking cars. If you look into if you look next to the roads, especially the last 2 years, you've seen a lot of the flock cameras popping up along a lot of roadways
What are
in public
those?
right of ways.
What
It-
are those?
It's a company called Flock, and what they do is they track license plates as well as which bumper stickers are on the backs of cars to track individual cars, even if they don't have an identifiable license plate. You know, the people with all the fake temporary license plates and stuff, they can still track them.
That's interesting
And
because we have a camera probably for 2 years on the side of the road by our house. It's hooked to a solar thing, and
yep,
it's not at an intersection. It's just like sitting there on the side of the road on
yep,
a pole, a camera, and it's like at maybe the camera's maybe 6 feet high. It's not
yep.
like way up in the air looking at traffic or anything. I thought it was
Okay.
really
That
weird.
sounds like a Flock camera. And
So I'm sorry, Phil. Say that again so I can jump in. I had to take that call. Give me the cliff notes on it, guys.
I'm talking about tracking people for blocking roads and figuring out where they're at and that sort of thing.
Yes.
By way of cell phone data or vehicle tracking data. And it brings to mind Enemy of the State, the movie.
Roads and figuring out where
There's a lot of fake cameras, or not fake cameras. There's a lot of cameras out there that are temporary, and I've been seeing them for like a year. And
We have one by our house. It's in 2 years. It's on a pole, and it's not in an intersection. It's literally like on the side of the road, 6 feet high.
they're like banging in like posts in the ground, so they're temporary. They're not even made to make it through a Michigan winter, is what you'll see.
Who's
And
looking at that? Is that federal or state or what? Like,
well, that's a good
anyone
question.
who's a customer. It's a private
There you
company,
go.
so
Private
they sell the data to pretty much whoever.
no kidding.
I got
Yeah.
a question. Have you ever driven on the road and seen speed camera come up on your navigational system?
Absolutely.
No.
If you have an app, I used to have a Waze app, and it would, because people report it.
Mm.
It comes into like your the traffic. If you've got GPS on your car and you've got one of the newest model cars or something that's fairly new, you will see. Oh, good morning, Helen. I see you out there. I'm looking at everybody in the chat right now, trying to get my head around things here. Yeah, it'll pop up and say, okay, police ahead, that sort of thing. Let me go back to what I saw. Okay. So on the road, there were a lot of areas, and it was really weird because this is not how construction works. I can guarantee you that. There would be areas where you're going down the road, and all of a sudden they made a quick ramp off, just right off the road, not on a ramp. It was like in the middle of somewhere, and there was like tents that you would see at like an art fair in the summer. There would be like a couple of blue tents, and there'd be 2 cop cars sitting there guarding the entrance, and they were staging things on the back side of that.
Was this in Michigan?
No, that was, well, what we saw in Michigan. Let me go through the trip here and tell you why I figured like this was so significant. In Michigan, there were so many law enforcement cars They had people pulled over. And the last one that we saw, I'm going to tell you, they're nabbing people right now. They know who the protesters are. They absolutely know. And they are literally picking them out of the air like owls eating bats. Okay. It's unbelievable. So there's your word picture for the day, right? So what the last one that we saw was, and I'm just going to come right out and say it. We were, not that I have anything against blue hair. Okay. However, I think that there's some indications here that there's a pattern. Okay. So we're going down the highway, and we had seen, I don't know how many cops along the way. I mean, it was constant. They were pulled over. They either sometimes had people pulled over, sometimes they didn't. They all had their lights on. And it was kind of crazy. But the last one that we saw, there's a cop car there, and they had a pickup truck pulled over. There was some chick with neon blue hair in the bed, obviously defiant to them. And I'm like, oh, they are literally pulling protesters over and removing them before the threat's even there. They set the trap. The bait was there. The idiots took the bait, and they're picking them up. That's what I saw. And then you see what was going into DC, and all of the highways there, all of a sudden, and I posted the videos on my Telegram channel and on my X account, and this is what Donna Brandenburg saw. I dated it and time stamped it so that it wasn't out there in social media world where everybody says, well, when did this actually happen? Well, it actually happened when I put the date and the timestamp on it so that we didn't have any confusion out there. And what I saw the entire way there, though, but it's pretended construction. I'm going to guarantee you it's the military's moving in under the guise of plain clothes. That's what they told us. And everything you better buckle up, buckaroos, because everything we're seeing has basically been optics. And I'm going to tell you what, there's so much CGI out there. Yeah. And I've said it for a long time. I've said it for a very long time. I've been in Mar-a-Lago multiple times. I've been where the alleged president has been multiple times. I have been where alleged people have been multiple times. And I can tell you when I've seen them and when I haven't. RFK, he was in a very, very private event in Lansing. I was right there in front of him when he was talking, like to the group, like 10 feet away. Stood there, shook his hands, got pictures, everything, right? That was actually an in-person thing. But what was really amazing is when he had the script, he was great. As soon as he went off script, he's kind of shut down to answering the questions. And that's the way all politicians are. They can't talk like we do here, just saying what's off the cuff. And you have
to be more careful too.
I can almost guarantee you that the only ones that were on the red carpet in DC were myself and a handful of my friends. And so you can take that and process this just a little bit. But let me put something up here. But when I tell you things aren't as they seem, it's going to be very hard for people to get their arms around the fact. And there was a guy we were there with, and he was kind of losing his mind just a little bit because, of course, you're lied to in all sorts of different situations, which, you know what, the good guys are not going to tell you their plans. They can't tell you their plans if they're working in the ghost army or in intelligence. They're hoping that there's going to be a few people who are sharp enough to figure this stuff out and break the programming and put it out there without having to be spoon-fed because they can't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course.
So this is interesting because yesterday morning the first thing I posted for the day was, and there's those two lovely ladies actually there.
Actual real people that were there, not CGI, looking at everybody, expecting to fill in with a program at a black, I'm going to say at a black tie freaking event in t-shirts and tennis shoes. Right. I'm so sure.
So yesterday morning, the first thing I posted was something to the effect of, do any of you actually stop and consider that everything you see on my channel, aside from my opinions, commentary, or theories, is actually fake? And I did get some answers where people said yes, and that's good, because even, I share a bunch of stuff. I share stuff from all over the place, and most of the time I don't add a commentary to it because I think my followers understand that I'm just sharing and I'm passing it forward. But sometimes I feel like I need to or want to say something about what I'm sharing and point out how fake it is. I don't know if you guys saw the other day, there was a video out. A woman did like a TikTok video, and she showed herself with these bruises all over her face and blood, and she said, I was at a protest. I was there to observe what was happening, and what I saw was, and I think she said bullshit, something like that. And then she waved her hand in front of her face, and you can see that her hand would take on the filter briefly. She had a filter on. Her face wasn't bruised at all, and it looked really real. It looked like she was there. And it was a great opportunity to observe how, just because it looks like an ordinary person putting out a video saying, well, I was offered $200 from No Kings. Well, I didn't see any offers by No Kings to pay people. It may have happened, but he didn't have a source to it. So there's really simple ones like that kind of stand out as fake. But
Yeah.
John
One of them
Harold
I
was
saw yesterday.
live.
Well, I saw one yesterday during the bombing. This Israeli commander or whatever on national TV. We watched it for Jeannie and I probably 60 seconds. He didn't blink once. That's a dead
Yeah.
giveaway when they don't blink.
How about this? Oh no, we got 20 of the Iranian commanders all in one swath, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. So guess what? Pretty extra sure that the good guys have had this in control for a long time, and they've been dead for a long time or gone, or were they even ever? Here's a question, and I think this is an important question to ask: were they ever there?
Yeah, who knows?
Right.
And we would never know here in the United States.
Was this done in coordination with the
Don't
U.S.?
start too much,
No.
you
Well,
know I'm right.
Trump says no.
Well, Israel said that they I just posted this morning, allegedly Israel notified the U.S. and it was done, quote, in coordination with the U.S. Well, Trump has made it kind of clear that he didn't have anything to do with it. So which one is it?
Yeah.
Or is it that the whole story is fake in itself?
I'm wondering
and they just haven't got control of their narrative. Well, they're trying to make it sound like Trump is part of this military operation so that he can take the blame. And he's like, no, I wanted peace with Iran. I want peace with Israel. But they won't do it.
Well, the one thing I made a commitment with a long time ago is nobody can pay me to lie. All right. I am not going to lie about anything. I may sit there a minute and think about how to deliver messages to people who are so programmed that it would blow their minds. Do you know what I mean? It's like if somebody's not willing, if somebody is programmed in a certain way, they'll walk right into their own death like a bunch of lemmings. And you don't want to
down with the ship.
They will just to defend their biases.
Yes.
Instead of stopping and critically thinking about what you're seeing. And
the
it's
vast majority of people are like that. They won't ever be able to admit anything.
Well, we were told that we were supposed to be sitting in a box right next to the president on the second floor. And we get there and our seats were changed. And like I said, we were in the last seats. And there was a few people there that were very upset about this. They were very upset. You know, how dare they move us to this? And I'm sitting here kind of amused at the whole thing. Honestly, I'm
Did you
amused.
see Rick Grinnell? Was he there?
Yeah, I saw Rick came out, but he never stopped to say hi. He just kind of walked and blew through there because they're not going to stop and talk. And they sure as hell aren't going to stop and talk to me for very long if the people that are in the know, because they know I'm going to look at them and say, I got your number.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I had a dream once a while ago, and I told Donna about it. I was like, I had a dream that I was talking to Donna. I don't remember where we were. It was like, I think we were at like your house or something, and we were getting ready to go somewhere, and you left the room for a moment, and then quote unquote you came back, and it was like some woman with blonde or red hair, and she was supposed to be you. And I was looking at her like, that's not gonna work. You're not Donna.
Oh, you must have
like
dreamt about the train robberies.
They're not gonna get away with trying to fake Donna because I'm gonna know, because I know Donna.
You can't fake this kind of spontaneity, stupidity. It's all natural. So yeah, it was really funny. So you know, the couple of people that I know are in the know that are friends of mine that are the real movers behind the scenes. And you know, it's like several times that we've been to events and I'm just like going, oh my God, this is all fake. And I can't even say it because nobody would believe me if I did, because they, you know, it's like they have to have something to look at and believe in, even if it's not reality. And it's like, you know what, guys, I'm going to trash all this kind of crap because all you have is truth. If you have truth and you're believing a lie, no matter what it is, a lie is a lie. And I'm like, I don't like being lied to. I hate it. And excuse me, more than the average person should ever hate lies. I hate liars. And it's like I just don't want any part of it, because it's like, if you know the truth, at least you can make a plan. Excuse me. At least you can make a plan, and you can make a real plan. You know, you can't, no good comes out of lies. And if we can't face the lies, no matter what, we got nothing. It's as bad as living in Hollywood or living in Disney World, where they've been lying to us for years. What's it going to take to break the programming and say, you know what? Okay, we're going to sit back. We're not going to be upset about it. But I'm just going to postulate this here a minute. What if the good guys have been in control for like a very, 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 very long time? And they've had time to work things out. So like I got like dinged massively for that picture I took with Adam Schiff. Okay. And everybody's like, oh no, she's turned to the dark side. It's like watching the village idiots sit there and have to be on their sports team of go team go, right? And I'm like, I just let everybody say it. I wanted to see who was out there that was going to get sucked into this, who was going to turn on me, who has told the truth every step of the way and has been right out there. Guys, I'm too ornery to go along with something that is a lie. I'm way too ornery for this. I have been offered millions of dollars. I've been offered billions of dollars. I have been offered anything. I had one guy say, what do you want? He was so angry at me because I wouldn't bite on what they were pushing out there. And I'm like, I don't want anything. I really don't. I'm not really too attached to this world, if you really want to know the truth. It's like, I'm happy shoveling horse shit, people. And honestly, I dislike the systems in place because they're all fake and they're all lies. And they're all a prison. And I don't know. But anyhow, I posted that picture. I was in the Senate building talking to real people that were there. And I talked to a few senators and such. But he walked across there and it was so staged. It was really funny. I was like, oh, this is funny. The good guys just gave me a chip shot here. I sprinted across that floor to just about to get that picture with him. And I looked in that man's eyes and I was like, it's hilarious. This is hilarious.
That's why I knew that's why you were grinning so big in the picture.
He's an actor. There may have been one there that was a bad guy, but whatever's standing there now, he's been replaced. That dude is an actor, and anyone that stands up for this country and takes on a role like that for a bad guy, do you realize that those are the bravest people that are standing in front of us right now? Because, you know, somebody could whack them so fast because they're angry that it's not even funny. People who infiltrate, and there's a lot of good guys that are playing bad guys right now. And there's a lot of bad guys that have looked like good guys. And if you think you know who they are and you're not on the ground there, you got no clue, because most of what we're seeing is CGI. That's
so,
why
Donna, what do you think
President Trump keeps getting younger. He's getting younger. A lot of us getting younger. I sat there and talked to one of the guys that was mad because, you know, to try to explain his way out of being pissed at the Kennedy Center. I'm like, it's all fake. It's all fake. And he's like, you know, he said, I saw it. He said, why? And we never saw anybody there. And he's like, that's why Melania and Trump and President Trump are getting younger. And I'm like, exactly. I'm like, you've got to critically think. Don't go with your biases. Ask those hard questions. Risk the chance of people saying, you know, you're off on a conspiracy theory. You're off on a tangent. You got to risk being wrong and trust what you see and what you know. And you've got to be open to and committed to the truth, no matter what anybody says about you.
What do you think the purpose is behind having this go on for so long, this show?
Because people would lose their minds. I saw it there when I was there. When I was wagered to tell a few people that were there, I'm like, President Trump isn't here. I can tell you he's not here. I can tell you he wasn't there at the last time I was at Mar-a-Lago. The whole thing was staged. And so I'm like, because I'm like, I just don't believe so. When I see something and I didn't say anything right away because there were so many people that were like, they had invested so much in being there and this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, he was never there.
It's I think generally to keep us safe. And that's what I think a lot of things. I think, you know, if you are us, you have the freedom to say out loud what you believe, what you see and what you believe. And that's what Donna's doing. But there are a lot of people who don't see and can't. And to some degree, that's okay. And maybe that's a good thing. I think a lot of what is going on, like the construction workers being dressed as construction workers, is to keep us safe. Because if people saw military people on the construction sites, quote unquote construction sites, they'd freak out.
Well,
they're there to keep us safe one way or another.
Another layer here is that there's some bad people out there. There's some really bad people that are out there. And it's like if they are keeping us safe and picking them up a little bit, I'm hoping, you know, and here's another thing. I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to wager to have a discussion on things that are possibly a big freaking lie. First of all, Biden was fake. Never president, never inaugurated. I'm pretty sure, extra sure of that. So why did they open the borders up to let people in? There's only a couple of different scenarios of that. Is it to let in the cartel members that were in so they could snag them before they really got into the United States? That's a possibility. I think some of them got through, but I think they were vetting them, and I think they were pulling the kids out of these child trafficking lanes. They might not have got all of them, but they were trying to pull things out, and they were sorting. I think part of it was sorting. If they catch bad guys in the United States, they can send them down to El Salvador. They can get rid of them. We send them back home. They're just going to creep back in like cockroaches. There's a finality that has to happen here. You can't let them go because they're going to come back.
And clearly Mexico and Canada weren't doing it.
It's exactly the same thing. You kick an evil spirit out and you don't have a plan to actually get rid of that evil spirit, they're coming back with friends. And it's going to be a bigger problem than what you had in the first place. So I'm just going to wager to say that I think that the open border thing was perhaps there was a little more depth in that than what anybody's talking about. Okay. And I think we've got to question these things though, because you look at the danger of the people that are really out there. It's the ones that are in our townships, our counties, the schools, the ones that have done, all of these people have committed treason. The ones that have gone into to destroy this nation, that became tools of this global crime syndicate. They're not innocent. And or they were so dumb that they will never be stable. And we have to make some deep and hard cuts, because if we don't, it'll creep right back in, and it will be worse within less than a year. Chris, what make a comment here. You're going back and forth between smirking and such. What do you think's happening here, Mr. Deal, the big deal?
Well, I'm doing a lot of observation type stuff, and I'm just taking it all in. And there is the narratives that Donald Trump does want Syria and all these other countries over there, Iran, to get on the prosperity page versus the nuclear weapons page. And that, of course, is if there really is a Donald Trump, right? Like you're saying.
I'm glad you said that.
And it doesn't help when you see Donald Trump on a TV or anywhere, whereas the bottom of his eyelids don't align with the top of the ears, and you and the same with Biden, and you look at the different characteristics, it kind of makes you want to say and so I think the more questions that open up, the better, because that's what wakes up people. It makes people think, is what it does. And that might be the very reason why they're making obvious interludes like that, is to make people think on their own.
I think that's exactly what they're doing.
I can't tell you that this person is that and that person isn't this. But if you see for yourself the differences that they're showing us, it'll start making you wonder. And there's going to be that small amount of people that are so buried into the Inquirer magazine TV show drama that they're just following this like it's Days of Our Lives. And then there's those that are truly committed to believing that, and they buy that paper every time they go in the grocery store because they got to see what's going to happen next.
Okay,
and that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. That's all right. But
let's show how easy it is to create AI generation of anything and everything. It takes a real trained eye to be able to pick it out, and probably some very unique gifts. Okay, this one's for you, Karen.
Yeah, that's more like me, isn't it?
Yeah, that is like you.
There's no way in a real war scenario that I would be sitting there with a riveter in a real war scenario. I'd
And a
be more like
sandwich.
the lady in the garden. I'd be gardening.
Yeah,
Garden for the troops.
and the sandwich. Let's go back to the sandwich thing. Okay, this is funny. Okay, this is funny. So just so you know, Ralph made this for Karen.
You have to send that to my Telegram page.
Yeah, I actually generated that while we were talking here, just kind of as an example of how easy this stuff is to do anymore.
Yeah, so I want to say I was watching probably a devolution show. It had John Harold on it, and he said, let me see how easy this is. So I think he went to X and had the AI he just typed it in during the show, make an explosion like wartime scenario thing, and it looked like a missile hitting a building and an explosion coming out, and you can make it a little bit more grainy if you wanted to, and voila, you've got pretty much exactly what we've been seeing. Like even the airplane the other day, I don't believe any of these stories. Did that airplane actually crash? Was there one guy that supposedly jumped out of the exit door? It just, the videos that I was seeing, like, oh, the plane went out of sight and then the explosion happened on the other side of the building, so you couldn't exactly see it. Well, how was this guy gonna get out of the plane when it was exploding, or did he jump out the exit door just before it landed? Like, none. And then I saw a clip of two people on stretchers with no sheets or bedding or anything. And one guy, he was hanging on and he was looking up off the stretcher, and they were being wheeled into the hospital really quickly from this event. And I'm like, they're just showing us, like, what is even stories like an airplane crash could be fake. Why? I want to know why. What's real, what isn't, why are they faking? That's what I spend a lot of my time doing, is thinking about what is the narrative here, and why are they trying to share that with us? What is it they want us to believe?
I think
Okay,
a lot of
let's
it,
do this
some
live
of it
here.
might.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, I think some of it might be test marketing in a sense. And I think, well, definite manipulation, that's for sure. That's what the CIA is good at.
Okay.
That's their profession. But
all right, let's figure
yeah,
out how to do this. Let's do it live here. You want to walk us through it, Ralph?
Oh, you just go over there and type in a prompt for Karen there. I took the Karen picture, and you can upload it in that little folder thing there. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Let's do something absurd, like plane crashes into a rubber building which bounces back or something. See what it comes up with.
boing.
Plane crashes in a rubber building and bounces back.
And then have Karen jump out the door with a parachute. Oh, I didn't want to go this way.
Okay, so is this good?
Sure.
Okay, let's
see what it comes up with. Because see, one of the things when you're doing AI video is it really is more about just like generate 15 videos and take the best one, because there's so much randomness involved in it. It does better if you give it a little bit more leeway.
All right, let's see what happens. How long does it generally take with this program?
This one, I think about 20, 30 seconds, something like that.
Okay, let's see what happens. This is kind of fun, isn't it? I love this do it type stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of this stuff, like, if I remember right, I think they use a model called LTX, which you can download and run yourself.
Okay.
Mouse over it and click play, and
okay.
Okay, yeah, didn't do a great job there, but
It was a hard concept.
Yeah.
It's a hard. Let's make it something less crazy. Maybe. Got another one?
The birthing of a plane.
Yeah, it's the birthing of the plane. Let's try President. Does it do people? Can you do President Trump?
I don't know. I haven't tried that.
When I tried, I was making things with Grok, which only let me do it so many times, and then it said I'd have to, I don't know, pay the system to get more out of it. But I made Gretchen Whitmer into a cat, I think it was. And it was really fun. And then when I tried to do Trump and Zelensky playing cards, it would not allow me to put a third character in there. And I was trying to make them fight. And it just couldn't, like, kicking at, because there was something going on in the news, and I was trying to make it look like one of them was kicking the other, and it just couldn't process that. And then it said, well, no, it wouldn't do it anymore because they were politicians.
Yeah, they've been trying to pass laws about that to specifically to make it so that if you do AI stuff around politicians, you have to call it out as AI generated. So they're trying to regulate that. I don't think it's actually going to hold up, but we'll see.
Yeah, and here's one. What difference would it make? Because they lie about anybody that's in politics anyhow. There's not one word that comes out of anybody's mouth that's true. And all right, let's see what happens. Okay, there's AI President Trump.
And it was that easy to generate.
On the fly.
Yep, and this is that's with a free tool. You can do that on your own computer. There's a whole bunch of different open source models you can download for that sort of thing. Or there's all kinds of tools that you have to register for them because AI video is generally fairly computationally expensive.
There you go. David, it says that you're having connection problems. Are you able to see it now? It went out for just a little bit.
It just keeps freezing and then coming back.
I've been having that a lot lately,
Right now,
actually.
it's okay.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it is right now.
Okay, well, probably took up the computing space on my computer while we were messing with the AI.
Got it.
So, what say you, everybody? This has been one of those.
You can't believe your eyes anymore. Can't believe what you see, especially on the TV. Can't believe the narrative nor what you see.
Well, here's something. I got something for you. A little something that seems contradictory also. Well, they show on TV the attacks between Iran and Israel, right? And they show the hundreds of interceptors that take out, say, the missiles that are going over from Israel to Iran. But then again, now they have a breaking news thing on X that they're streaming that, excuse me, I have to hang up on that. They have a breaking news story that smoke is rising up out of Tehran, that it was a missile strike, and that there's missile strikes all over Iran in strategic places. But what I can't figure out is there's no retaliation, there's no interception of these missiles coming in from Israel. What, are they all asleep today?
Yeah.
Is that Iran? Is there a holiday, a special holiday that the infidels can come in and attack them? I'm just not getting it.
Yeah.
Well, I never believed that the Russians allowed a drone attack on their Air Force base. Like, they have no protections against drones. Like, that whole story. And so everybody's treating it as if it's a real story. And I'm like, wait a second. Regardless of the quote unquote video footage that we're being shown, do you not understand the basic concept of, is that a real type scenario. Like, Russia doesn't have defenses against drones on their Air Force base. That's nonsense to me.
I got Karen. How about this? They can get that close that they can shoot a bullet that almost takes out our president, right? But they can't take out that little munchkin, and he's the enemy of Russia. They let him just run around freely, begging for money for all these people. They can't get him. Are you kidding me?
Because he's an actor, and they can't waste him yet.
I mean, he's getting more coverage
actually
than
a nice guy.
Robert De Niro.
Oh, what was it? There's a movie, Iron Man. In Iron Man is a great depiction where the good guy goes to see the bad guy, and it turns out he's a British actor made to look like some, Hussein type character. And he's just there doing drugs and drinking and partying with the ladies, and he's just an actor. And it's like they're just throwing it right into our faces. That's exactly what they did. Exactly what they're still doing.
And I posted a link to another thing that they use now for special effects, and this was several years ago. They were real proud of this system, but this is one that is pretty cool and has kind of, for any studio that has this capability, it kind of has the ability to obsolete green screening, where if you scroll down to, I don't know, probably halfway down the page, it's got some good videos of how this works. But they actually have basically like a giant curved screen all the way around the set. And so as a result, they can put the background all the way around a character, basically. So, and then they can adjust the parallax of it as they move the camera around, because the camera will also be computer controlled. So as a result, you get all of the lighting that matches up with the background, because the light is actually coming from the background, just like it would be in real life. And this fixes a lot of the problems that you see with reflections. Because if you notice, if you look at anything that's green screened, you generally want to try and avoid anything that's reflective, because that will reflect the camera and anything around it. Or if you're doing true green screening, if you've got any clothing that has a sheen to it, it'll reflect that green in the background, and you'll start having difficulties trying to key out the cut edges. Well, now you introduce this, and you've got a whole new level of stuff that you can fake. And it's a really pretty cool technology, but you got to know that if this is coming out in the public now, how long has it actually been out there for?
Probably long enough to have a fake White House with fake Biden and fake Whitmer all in the same background.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I said it. Oh, I'm so naughty. I'm so naughty, aren't I?
Well, remember, years ago, so a few years ago, there was a Biden CG where he's supposedly out on the White House lawn getting ready to go into the helicopter, and the press is out there. But somehow his hand moves through a microphone that's in front of him. And there's other ones with Biden that you can tell. I made a big fuss. I'm the only one that I've ever seen do it, where there was a Super Bowl event, and well, the game was the event, but there was a Biden and Jill were supposedly doing a little I don't know what you call it, a little ad of some sort where they say, hey, and have a good game and blah, blah, blah. And it was like maybe a minute or two long. And they're sitting on a couch together. And the instant I saw it, I thought, this doesn't make any sense. And I took that video, put it out there. I even showed how you could tell there was an actor sitting next to the Jill, who was probably a Jill actor. Her face was telling to me. If it was Jill, I thought, okay, maybe this is actually Jill, and she's disgusted by the whole thing, because that was the expression on her face. Whoever was next to her was not Joe, and they cut out a Joe face and put it on the actor, but you could see around the perimeter of the face where the cutout was, and it was kind of slanted and squashed, where like it was coming from a different type of video or whatever, and he's there smiling, and I'm like, that's not, it's a guy with Joe's head on it. Like, they couldn't do a Joe actor for 2 minutes pre-recorded and do this, that they went well out of their way to make a really bad looking thing, put it on a Super Bowl where everybody can watch, and Karen the Riveter is the only one that notices. They're just throwing it out there for everybody. Joe Biden is fake. It's not just a fake election. It's not just a fake inauguration. It's not just a fake presidency with a fake auto pen thing to distract you all from the fact that there is no Biden there. I don't know who that guy is.
No,
but I don't know
that weird silicone mask that you couldn't push a human being's nose like flat on the face like they did for Biden. I mean, there's so much of it out there. It's almost funny at this point.
So what?
It's
what
been funny for a while, except that then you have the ethical argument over all of this. So even if there's, let's use Zelensky as an example. Let's say he's working for us. He's an actor. And he was an actor, he was in supposedly real life. He was an actor before he was president. And now we have an actor that replaced the actor. I don't even know. But let's say he's working for us.
Stilettos and in leather and chains and such. I mean, oh my gosh.
I mean, they made a movie about a fake president in the U.S. I did get to watch it recently. It's amazing. The name is Dave. If you want to watch the movie, go watch the movie Dave. It's a perfect example, except they made it like a romantic comedy thing. But
the one that comes to mind when you bring that up is Wild Wild West. They did the same kind of thing. There's been a bunch of movies about that, and they'd like to tell us what they're doing with movies, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're making it so that it's obvious that we can see it, but why? Who is actually in control of this, and why is it an ethically? I have an ethical problem with it because I don't like the pretend game. I don't like being lied to. So if President Trump is alive, I sure would like a proof of life, and I would like to know that he is the one making decisions, because he's the one that took an oath. If they had an actor take an oath, I have a problem with that. Is he protecting the country? Well, then I guess the oath is fulfilled. But if he's not the president because he's an actor and the president is acting from behind the scenes, well, and if there's an actor making the oath, is the actor making the decisions, but the actor is not Donald J. Trump, it's some other guy like Dave making the decisions, I have a problem with that. There's some ethical limits for Karen.
Let's bring this to another logical, potentially out pushing the boundaries a little bit conclusion. If the United States already fell and the military was in charge, then whatever pretended president or whatever is there wouldn't matter at that point in time, because things have to be reset. So, I mean, there is that question, and that's where you do the mic drop. Boom. And anyhow, David, you've been trying to say something. What's going on? What were you going to say?
Oh, I'm just trying to figure it out from a 45,000 foot level. Like, why are they doing this? You know, we're probably 0.1% that can see that it's fake, and the narratives are all fake, or trying to get the population to believe something that's probably not true. But what the heck could be going on for 8, 9, 10 years now? What's taken so long? What are they doing? I mean, what the heck is going on behind the scenes while we're being distracted and talking about what's real and what's not and what's fake?
You'll have to buy
what could
another
really be going
Inquirer
on?
magazine.
It can't be. It can't be something as well. It can't be something as simple as rounding up, the bad guys, because they would have been rounded up by now. They could round, they could have done that a long time ago. There's something else much bigger going on.
Maybe
It seems to involve a lot of
think about
countries, a
this.
lot of places around the world.
Think about this. Maybe if the bad guys are sort of like the quasi bad guys that are working in, say, like the corporatocracy type thing, that if you took enough of those out the supply lines, and if they actually went in and took everybody out top to bottom all at the same time, are you kidding me? Out of this group, most of us could survive, but the majority of people we know would die for lack of food or things, because they couldn't survive for one day without losing their minds. And then you know who the real enemy would be? The kill or be killed mentality of people that are just trying to survive. And it's like people would it would go into bad things very, very quickly. I mean, quickly. If people can't feed their children, they'll go against their neighbors.
But the military could take over the supply chain and make sure everyone's fed and
Well, the military had to get cleaned out too.
peace and order. Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Well, I personally, I thought that this was coming to a head this weekend. I've been thinking it for a while, that these riots are staged and or they're real, but it's going to allow Trump to declare martial law, especially if it happens in every city across the country, which they're planning on Saturday. So maybe then martial law gets called, and we're under martial law maybe for years, and then they disclose what's been going on. I don't know.
But martial law wouldn't have to be implemented if we're taking one out and putting one in, taking one out, putting one in, because it would be a slow roll and nobody would even know the difference.
Well, I think
They'd
that
wake up
if you
one
look
day and
but I think we need
Donald Trump would go, "We won."
I think it's pretty clear to one thing that's clear to people, to the population, is like our form of government failed. We need a whole new form of government. We can't just start over and do the same damn thing. It'll happen again. Like we need a whole new government, a whole new everything, like a total reset completely. And the only way to do that would have the military in charge. People.
We're losing you, David.
Things moving along.
I don't know. Is everybody else seeing him or hearing him well?
Yeah, I'm hearing you, but it's like the connection's gotten weird, probably because we're telling the freaking truth. I'm
going to log off and come back on.
Okay, sounds good. But I think all the things that we're talking about today are pretty significant, honestly. I think that these are questions we've got to ask. And I mean, those are the hard questions. How many years has it been that conspiracy theorists were absolutely ridiculed and told all of us, no, you're wrong, you're crazy, you believe, you're just a conspiracy theorist. Well, what if it's true?
Well, and I think too that's kind of one of the somewhat valuable things about the so some of the people in the flat Earth community do actually believe that there's a flat Earth, but there's also a chunk of them that propose that just to get people thinking about how would you prove this if you weren't just told that the Earth is round. How could you prove this yourself? And there's a bunch of different ways of doing it, but there's some people that get into that and promote that just to get people thinking about it. Kind of like the birds aren't real folks, get people thinking about the possibility and, well, how would you prove this wrong? I'm going to say this specifically to start an argument to get you to think about how you would argue back, kind of a mentality, And then, for the birds aren't real folks, then you've got the drones that are now being made out of dead birds. So, comes full circle, I suppose.
Never heard that one. That's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Let me find pictures.
I don't believe it is real.
Let me go find the pictures and press releases a minute. Hang on.
Well, I don't know. It's like, anything's possible. Now people are selling squallets, for God's sakes. You know what that is?
No.
It's where they take an actual squirrel and they turn it into a wallet. And they call it a squallet.
Gross.
I know.
Well, I've seen the goat suitcases.
Yuck.
Well, what's the difference between
don't
that?
forget for a while they were making purses out of children and bones.
Well, that brings me back to what I was going to say. To answer Dr. David's question, I think one of the things that could have been happening, is the rescue of children. And that could be something that takes time because there's so many in that network. To break it down and squash it and rescue the children, maybe that's something that takes time. So that's been one of my theories.
I think the children that haven't been rescued are dead, and they're using their brain cells for a computer of some sort. I saw a video on how, you guys have probably saw the video where they have brain cells that are playing Pong. You know, I forgot what it's called, bio-neuro something.
No.
You haven't seen that?
Right.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, I have.
It's amazing.
Okay. This is the crazy thing. Here's the dead bird they've turned into a freaking drone. Seriously, people.
One of the dead birds that they've turned into a drone.
All right, that's like messed up. It's totally messed up. Well, you know what they say, birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real.
I'm really glad I jumped on this morning with you guys. I wasn't going to come on this morning just because I was so tired. It literally took us approximately, I think, an hour and a half to get out of DC. Because the roads were so weird. So this is another comment here I have, right? Okay. So when President Trump kept talking about all of the graffiti in DC, I was there. And I'm like, there's no graffiti in DC. Remember that a couple of years ago when he did that? There was no graffiti in DC. I'm there. Okay. There was no graffiti. There was never any graffiti there. I was there and it wasn't there. Well, the protesters I didn't see any protesters there. I saw nothing. Every time I've been there, the protests. I really haven't seen any protests there. There were no protests. There were just basically fake construction workers everywhere in zones that were cleared. You know, there's no way I'm believing this stuff. Not believing any of it. Done. Over. Lies end here.
So another thing I was thinking about here too is with the whole Israel-Iran thing and with the Ukraine-Russia conflict, you start looking at pretty much all of that, and anything that they're publicizing right now as being actually effective is drone-based, right? Like, You don't hear hardly anything about any of the conventional weaponry doing anything other than, early on in Ukraine, some of the artillery, right? Now it's all just drones, right? Well, there's that kind of puts a lot of that into the realm of being available technology to the masses to be able to defend against, because if for anybody thinking that that's a realistic attack on Americans, there is a really good video about how to turn a microwave into an anti-drone weapon that basically just immobilizes drones. And it got me thinking about that they want to try this on an armed populace that has, pretty much everybody has the ingredients to make a counter weapon to this kind of thing, I think they would find very quickly that it would potentially work a lot worse than what they think.
What are you saying? We can't defend against it?
No, I'm saying that we are very capable of defending against it.
Okay.
Between such things as, shotguns and microwave weapons, that pretty much everybody has a microwave.
I think the problem is they're up much higher. They can target like your house from probably 30,000 feet.
Yeah, that technology's been available for a long time, though, and that's not what we're seeing used over in Israel and Iran and Ukraine and Russia too much. Those tend to be...
That looks fake.
Yeah, and
that looks very fake. Those Ukrainian videos on YouTube of the war, it's like, oh my God, they can do a better job.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get this thing to play here. David, you put this on.
So they this is just disclosure. Like, they can put neurons now on a petri dish, put some wires in there, and teach it to play Pong.
I'm gonna run through this just as, let's see if I can playback speed this. I'm gonna go way fast, and
if
turn.
You just go to 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you can just see it playing Pong.
3 minutes, okay.
Well, that's what it looks like. That's what the chip kind of looks like.
Okay, let's play a little bit, then we'll skip around a little bit.
There it is, playing Pong right there. You don't even need to go forward. Those are brain cells. Or neurons, I should say.
Huh. So
a
I know
lot of this advanced AI may not be what they're saying. It may not be all these server farms and stuff, or it has another component to it. Where else did all those kids go?
It goes back to the old debate about, if what was it? I think it was an ancient Greek thought experiment that, like, how would you know if you were in a dream that you couldn't wake up from, basically? How would you know that you're not already trapped in the Matrix and that all of this stuff is just sub-matrix simulations within a matrix?
It's the allegory of the cave.
Yep.
The shadows. Are they real or not? And then if you find out they're not, who leaves the cave? A lot of people just stay because they can't handle the truth.
Yep.
Well, okay, so when all this conversation we've been having, a person could be very depressed about it. This is all fake. What is real? I don't know anymore. I think at the end of the day, I think everything I'm seeing is encouraging to me. I don't get depressed about it. I don't worry about it. I've been telling Donna, I've been watching or listening to a few of the people from Badlands Media. Chris is one of them. And he is pretty adamant about not getting emotional, which I've been saying too, about whatever you see. And he's been talking, it's all fake. It's all fake. And he gets angry about it. And I totally agree. If you believe, like I posted yesterday morning, that everything you see is fake and then work from there instead of working the other direction, thinking it's real and then being disappointed when you find out how much of it is fake. Just assume that it's fake. If it's coming from the mainstream media, assume that it's fake. Whether it's the story or the video. Yeah, I mean, start from that assumption and ask yourself why they would be doing that. Why would they be trying to convince the public that this thing has happened? Then you're informed and you're not afraid. And that's the key. I'm not afraid because I see at the end of the day good things happening. I know that we're not in a really bad state in this country compared to what some would have us believe. I think we have some
could have happened.
problems.
Or
I
could
still
be.
think there are problems. And I think regardless of the good guys being in charge, quote unquote, white hats or whatever you want to call them, God is in control. And I do believe that. But God lets us make mistakes and he lets us take consequences. So if you're afraid of consequences, which you shouldn't be, then you're not truly believing that God is in control. Because if you believe that God is in control, the only thing you have to fear is your own spiritual battle. Are you afraid of death? Because if you are, why is that? Is it because you're afraid of the suffering that might happen at your death? Or is it you afraid of what happens after that? If you're with God, you don't have to worry about that. You should be looking forward to it. That is the greatest fear that anyone should have. It should be a bigger fear than going in front of a crowd to deliver a speech, which doesn't make me fearful. It makes me excited, actually. I'm one of those oddballs. But I think if people are, I've been saying this for years, if you are afraid of death, why is that? And if you believe in God and you believe that God is in control and you believe that you have a spot secured for you in heaven because of the grace of God and his son, Jesus, who died to save you by protecting you from your own sins, then that's the worst fear you could possibly have. So what else is there to be afraid of? If you're afraid of war come into your neighborhood, why? Why are you afraid of that? If war comes and it kills you, okay, well then I got a faster trip to God than dying of old age.
They're showing on the news.
So no matter what happens in all of this conspiracy theories, whether we're right or wrong about this or that, it doesn't, nothing really matters in the grand scheme of things. You've got nothing to worry about.
Think about what it says in the Bible. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. It's not what we know. It's not what we think we have figured out, because we could be wrong on absolutely everything. And and still working through it. We can also be right on things and really not see how that affects other decisions when we have our biases and such. The only thing to have faith in is God Almighty. And whatever goes on, if you have faith in God, it doesn't matter. Your surroundings don't matter. It's easy to look at things that are harder for other people to face because you don't really have a concern with it. It's things are going to be what it's going to be. And as we uncover the truth and go forward, it does not matter. It's like truth is truth. And that's one of those things that we follow. We want to know the truth. We don't want to be following a lie. Even if it feels good, that addiction to things that make us feel good from an emotional standpoint can be a real problem. I want to read a couple things from the chats here. Denise says, wow, just lost my post. Jefferson closed, Gratiot 194 down to 1 lane, planes, helicopters flying from Selfridge. I actually heard jets last night at 3 a.m. So something is happening. Something is definitely happening. I saw it when I was out there too. Like Lev says, I hate liars too. Lie to me and all bets are off. I kind of feel the same way. We're cut from the same cloth there. Denise, Pelosi ripping up the speech, fake inauguration of Biden, Trump and J6, and then pardoning them, all theater. People should have known Trump setting up everything before leaving office in 2020. Theater, Trump's lawsuits in Georgia, etc. His butler craziness. How no one can remember the kid's name and how he didn't pursue the investigation, how Epstein is dropping, how crazy Bondi and Patel and Bongino are acting. These are just too many crazy pressers, etc. I think we are watching crazy theater. No one finds it odd that all the Jack Smith, Fannie Willis, and others, they just seem to fade into the background, and you never hear anything about it again or anything happening to these people. It's sort of like, yeah, okay, let's bring the next cartoon character in. What's on the script?
Mm-hmm. Well, and to Karen's
seems like
point,
to keep you distracted.
To Karen's point too about, all of it being fake, being a depressing thought, it isn't for me. It's encouraging because it means that we're starting to spot it.
Yes.
This has been, how long has this been going on?
Yeah.
And
we're literally like 0.1% that can spot it, but the rest of the
I
people
don't think so.
are completely. Oh, there's people don't even watch the news or pay attention to this. 99% of people I know have no idea about what's going on. They could care less.
I think there's there's an increasing number. I think there's a lot of people that are figuring it out.
I think there's people that are at least starting to question it, whether they figure it out or not. They're starting to question. They're not just taking everything they're handed hook, line, and sinker. Because look at the traction that the Epstein didn't kill himself memes got. That became kind of a mainstream meme shared by people of every political leaning. And that would have, years ago, that would have been classified firmly into conspiracy theory territory and dismissed. So I find it really encouraging that a lot of this stuff it's starting to be questioned, and that's what needs to happen.
Well, I think these people that have planned this all behind the scenes are absolutely brilliant, because it's just really amazing how much planning had to go into this to pull this off, with a captured United States, with infiltrators in every organization, every level of government. They're still there. There's a lot of people that are in these NGOs yet. We're not done cleaning house yet. There's people in our local governments that need to be cleaned out because they've committed treason. We're not done with this. We are not done with this by a long shot, but we're moving in the right direction. And I think the threats are being removed as they pop up very quickly and elegantly and sophisticatedly. And so we don't have anything to worry about. But behind it all, God wins. God wins in the end, no matter how it goes. The one thing we can count on is this life is terminal. We're here for a very short time. And then we move on, we go back to God. And I think that he's got other plans for us. And it doesn't end here. This is just one stop for us. That's it. And then we've got lots and lots and lots and lots of time ahead of us. If the soul never dies, make a good plan on where you want to go.
I don't want to take away from your big picture kind of concept, because I agree with you. But I was thinking a moment ago about the Democrats and the California stuff, because the fires wasn't a big enough story for them to figure out, hey, they're actually hurting us here. Our own party, quote unquote, is hurting us here. Well, now I think a lot more people are seeing the damage in the footage coming out. And when I say that, I think even that footage could be faked. The peaceful protests that the Democrats kept saying over and over and over, they're peaceful, and the people are seeing all this footage in media going, obviously it's not peaceful. They're lying to us. President Trump gets involved, and then it gets brought under control, whether that's Trump or whether that's the National Guard and Marines, or whether the governor actually does his job and the mayor does her job and the police chief does his job, and they are able to get it under control. But the people can see that the politicians are the enemy. And it's
uniting the country. We're united. You can gel any group of people against a common enemy. And the enemy, it's true. It's a true enemy because of the corporatocracy and the theft of our nation and our freedoms.
And I think I've been seeing things about people saying, well, you can find common ground more easily with the people who say, hey, that's not what I that's not what I voted for. They're actually hurting us. Well, welcome. We agree with you. You don't have to agree with everything that President Trump does, but can we find common ground on this issue or that issue? And it's becoming a little bit easier when people have their eyes open or the veil is lifted and they can see that what people on the other side have been saying all along is actually true. When you find common ground in the truth, suddenly you start to break down other barriers.
Right. Well, think about this. Okay, let's go through a critical thinking exercise. Okay, because we need to be able to question everything. But how do you do that? I think I need to teach people how to do critical thinking exercises. Okay, David, I know you're familiar with it. I know pilots are all familiar with these processes of assessment. You start with assessing the situation. You have to run the scenarios through your head, and this is where everyone needs to realize that there's very few instances in life that you got to make a snap decision on. Very, very few. You got a patient dying on the table, you probably have an emergency situation going on. If you're in a plane and the plane is going down, you probably have to make pretty quick decisions. However, there's a couple stories out there that I find really interesting, and one of them is they installed a clock in the cockpit of certain aircraft. And the reason is before they did anything, when there was a critical situation, the pilot had to stop and wind the clock. It served no purpose except for distracting them and getting them out of the panic mindset so that they could not be driven by panic but make good decisions. There's something very important about that story right there and where we are right now in the United States of America. If you're feeling panicked or afraid, basically they gotcha. Okay? That's what they want. They want you, evil forces of any type, whether you believe in spiritual ones or just terrestrial ones. I kind of believe in all of them. Okay? And such. I believe we're in a multi-dimensional universe. And for anybody who's a Christian that wants to argue with me, I can make a pretty good case, about this. Jesus walked through walls. All right. And he appeared and disappeared. Angels appeared and disappeared. Why is it that they come into our purview? Because it's multi-dimensional. We just can't see the things around us, but they're already here. And or things move back and forth. Right. But you have to stop. When you're in a situation that you feel panicky, stop. This is one exercise we do with my very mentally ill special needs daughter all the time to ground her into reality. I've got decades of practice with this. When somebody is literally losing it to a point of not having a grip on reality. And that's what I used to do with her all the time. Is I take her hand and I'm like, what's real? What's real? Touch this, touch this, touch this. And I get her to touch the things around us that were real and say, there's nothing here to fear. And pretty much I'd look at her and say, and I'm the scariest thing on the planet right now because, it's like go up against me and pretty extra sure that things are going to get real quick, no matter what it is. And, if you're threatening things that or innocent people around me, whether they're my family or anyone, I literally, my brain shuts off and I go into beast level warrior mode. And case in point, we had a crack house that moved in next to one of my properties. And I literally got out of the car and I was just livid over this. There were about 70 people fighting in the streets. And the danger never even registers with me. It just absolutely doesn't even register. Probably because I've been through so many crisis situations. And I had a guy that jumped off and went up on the porch of one of the houses. And I just planted it. I'm sitting there planting it. And of course I was powerlifting at the time. So it would have gotten real quick. Right. And so at any rate, he turns around and looks at me and I'm just not moving. I'm just like, fine, take your best shot, but you got one shot at this. And he literally looked at me for a few minutes and then nodded and kind of like this, went like this to me and jumped off the side of the porch, ran down the alley with another guy with a baseball bat on his tail. And I was so angry at this situation that it was like, I don't even know how to put it, but if you go into situations like that and you stop with a fear, you'll be able to see things that everybody else on the ground can't see. And that's the way out of it. So let's go into the assessment right now. If you stop and you wind the clock, and I'm just going to use that as an analogy, wind the clock, have a plan to give yourself a pause. Unless you're in a life-threatening situation, like maybe David would be in such, or a fighter pilot, you don't have any emergencies around you. You got time to react. A quick reaction is always the bad reaction. It never works out. So just sit back and assess it. Observe what you're seeing on the ground around you. And if you realize that things aren't adding up, you're probably right. But why do you even have to react to this? Sometimes we just shut our mouths. The Bible talks about taming the tongue. If everybody just was quiet for about an hour and a half, I'm pretty extra sure that we would have things figured out. We would stop insulting each other and we'd be able to get to the bottom of things and have intelligent discussions instead of these temper tantrums we're seeing out there. These things said just to hurt other human beings instead of winning the issue at hand and approaching this as an adult in control of the situation. So if you need to have a little bit more time to go, I want to look into this a little bit before I react. Appropriate course of action. I'm going to sit and I'm going to observe this a little bit more until I see a clear plan for, first of all, your own safety and the people around you. But what are you going to do with the things that you're going to see? Get a plan. And sometimes just sitting there and observing is the plan to get it figured out. But once you do that, you can make a good decision. You can make an informed decision going forward. And then you take the course of action. As you're doing this, you evaluate along the way to see if things are working or if it's not working so well, or if you need to move a little bit in another direction, or if you need to get more information. And that's okay. You're not in a panic situation. The plane isn't going down. You've got time to wind that clock, to think about it and assess and run through your head all of the risk factors and start eliminating the untruths around you. And we can do that even seeing what I saw at the Kennedy Center. Eliminate the lies. First thing, don't justify them. Start eliminating the lies. First
well.
Yep. Well. We've got a situation here, guys. Okay. Is the plane going down? No. Are you in clear and present danger right now? Probably not. Maybe, but probably not. I'm not seeing like the sirens going out and the missiles flying overhead right now. Until I see that, I'm not going to lose my mind, because a lot of this could be phony. When you see a drone overhead, I just read something the other day that there's a drone out there that can sweep a 50-mile radius on facial recognition. You think that they're not watching us right now? Well, I don't know about you, but I got nothing to hide right now. I've thrown myself out in front of God and everybody out there in the public. Not necessarily like I've tried to hide, right? But I don't have anything to hide. And I think most good people don't have anything to fear or hide. The bad guys, I'm pretty sure they got a lot to worry about right now. Because honestly, if I'm right, and I'm pretty extra sure I am, that we're seeing military being moved in under the guise of other things, like a parade on Saturday, tomorrow, that we've got construction workers all over the place, that a person who works in construction can tell you they're not construction workers. Construction workers don't behave this way.
Uh-huh.
Now, does that excite you, or does that make you fear? Or does it make you feel neutral? That's the thing. People need to focus on how they're feeling as a result of this stuff. You should not be getting your adrenaline pumping every day because you saw a headline or a post that it made you feel like something is happening. Okay, something's happening over there.
You know what annoys everyone around me all the time? They're like, aren't you excited about this? Aren't you excited about this? I'm like, no, I'm not. I used to have emotions that were more reactive when I was younger. But anymore, I've fallen into the grandma category of, well, let's just sit back and look at this a minute before I get myself all excited and go to Stupidville, right? Whether it's a good excitement or a bad excitement doesn't matter. You go to Hopium in the good excitement area, you're going to be let down a lot. And I mean a lot. Taking the information and go, well, I sure hope it goes that way, but yeah, it may not go that way. And in the event it doesn't go that way, I'm going to be okay. I'll just pivot real quickly, right? If you look at something that looks like a threat and you don't get excited, you stay in that critical thinking mode. Let me ask you a question, everybody. Do you want a surgeon like David that's going to go into panic if things go poorly? Pretty much no, right?
Is he excited about doing your surgery?
Has he ever done it before?
Yeah, no kidding.
Are you the first one?
Do you want
Exactly.
a pilot flying your plane that goes into a hailstorm and all of a sudden reacts with that visceral reaction of going, oh no, and pulls the yoke back to keep the nose up? Because the one thing you know when you're in panic is that hitting the ground is going to be bad. Okay? So running in the opposite direction is probably going to stall the freaking plane. You can't just visceral reaction and go, oh no, keep the plane in the air. Oh no, you just dropped it right on its belly. Boom, right? Can't do that. Gotta
Put your cell phone aside because you're going to damage it from all the throwing it around during the show.
So one of the things from pilot training that they have you do is engine out practice, where you get up in the air and the instructor shuts the engine off. And
Ralph and I have both done flight lessons, and the first time you practice stalls, you think, are you out of your freaking mind?
Yeah.
Okay.
But engine out practice, it's probably it is probably the single most confidence building exercise in all of flight training, because the instructor does that and you have to go through the whole checklist for doing an emergency landing. And going into it, you kind of dread it as like, oh no, I'm going to have to fly through this really, really fast to avoid crashing the plane. And no, you do that and you realize you've got all the time in the world to figure out exactly what you want to try and do. It is such a relaxed thing. And if you've practiced enough, you already know all of the stuff you need to do well enough that it should be mostly muscle memory by that point. But yet you still go through the checklist just to make sure that your head's in the right space and you're going through it in a calm, controlled manner.
You're winding the clock. You're thinking about things instead of going to panic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how much time you actually have when you get in a situation like that.
Can I tell you a really funny story?
Okay.
I think this is really funny. And
no, you can't tell us a funny story.
Yeah, I think it's a funny story. Okay, so I was 18 years old because I started college really young, and I was the youngest person on staff for our university for a job I had, which was basically conflict mediation. And I was like born 90 years old. Okay. That's just the way it was. I was like, I didn't play normally like normal kids do. I like to sit and listen to the adults talk because I thought playing was kind of like frivolous and I was bored with it. And so, yes, there are those of us out there that really didn't have a childhood because we didn't find it important. Okay. I wanted to learn things. And so, anyhow, we ended up having to go to this camp, and it was a rope course that was off the ground. And here I am, the youngest one there, and everybody was like, patting me on the head like I was the rookie in the group and the weakest link of the team building exercises and that sort of thing. Because everybody was really over, so they're kind of patronizing me, like, how the hell did she get into this, kind of thing. And so I was just going around. So we get up on this rope course up in the air, and you all had harnesses on and such, and we had to do things like jump over. The biggest problem for most people was to jump over a 3-foot gap in the rope course from one platform to the other. You're climbing like a freaking monkey up on these ropes, and you're going up and down, and you're off the ground and such. And so I got up there and I was watching everybody that was older and more experienced that were in leadership at the university in front of me, and they were literally losing it. I watched, grown men crying up there because they were so afraid it just like they couldn't let go of it. So you know what I did? This is really funny. I just reasoned it out. I looked down, I looked at my harness, and I looked at the rope, and I'm like, you know what? If I jump off of this course and I hit the bottom part of where I fall, I'll never be afraid. So I literally just said, okay, we're gonna hit this thing head on, because I'm gonna run through this thing like, I don't know, I'm gonna run through this thing like O.J. Simpson in an airport, right? And so I literally just took a flying leap, and I just went boom, and I went right off the course, and I jumped, and I hit the bottom of the rope with a harness on. And I'm like, well, that was a big fat nothing. And the guys that were running, the trainers that were running the course, the one guy looked over, he goes, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, you know what? I just figured that if I jumped and I hit the bottom of how far I could fall, I'd never be afraid. And so I just decided, okay, let's test the limits of how bad this could possibly be. I jumped back up on that course. I ran through that course so fast, and I'm sitting at the other end of that course, sitting down with my legs dangling off a platform, waiting for everybody to get past their tears and crying and panic. And I'm like, hey, guys. And at that moment in time, it was so funny because I literally got put in charge of when we got back to what we were working on and the management structure that we were working in. Man, I was like, everybody's like, what do we do, Donna? And it was kind of crazy. It was a crazy moment that really defined the people that you sometimes underestimate in situations. And it's always the people who can run and that are not affected by fear. Those are the ones that you want to stand with you at your last moment, because they will be the ones that won't give up. They won't go in the fetal position like people did with the masks and such. They're going to stand there and say, all right, let's test this theory here and see what happens. Or if you get cancer, I've talked about that before. You want those people around you that are unmovable and unwavering in bad situations.
Donna, just some breaking news I just saw not to change the subject, but Israel just declared that Trump approved the attack plans.
Well, so they can say
whatever. It sounds like they're creating a problem between the United States and Israel now. Remember, they're saving Israel for last.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. I don't really think it's Israel at all. I think the whole thing. It's like I have no problem against all my Jewish friends out there, but I have no problems with Americans. But I think our government is a bunch of crap, and I think the Israeli government's a bunch of crap, and the Iranian government, all the governments, the Chinese government. I have nothing against the people. It's all these pretenders in office that are keeping us in these endless wars.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Now we're going to have a battle in the media over whether Trump knew, Trump coordinated with, or Trump approved of.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's all crap.
Right. Oh no, we have to we have to try to discern whether Trump knew. How about we look at, how'd you like Lindsey Graham posted yesterday, game on, period, enter, pray for Israel.
Oh yeah, we got to divide up in different sides now. And that makes just killing random individuals okay.
Yeah. So you don't pray for the people on the other end of the missiles and explosions and all of the danger. You just pray for the ones who are attacking them.
You know, I just, since this is supposed to be about survival, I would just have one thought is just everyone be careful out there. Tell everyone to be careful out there. Because there are crazy people here, and they are inciting riots across the country on Saturday. And,
Are they though?
let's not lose, I don't know. Well, they are. I mean, they're definitely advertising it all over.
1,500 locations. 1,500.
Okay, so let's look at that though. When we say they, who is the they? Is the no kings the they? Because as far as I know, just because somebody makes a website and puts it out that there's locations all over the country, well, I can do that too. Doesn't mean anybody's going to show up.
Probably the CIA and the elites and maybe Israel.
Yeah, but if the people can see what's happening in California, you might get some people, some what I call looky-loos, people who want to film whatever happens so that they can get social media clicks. People who might actually be paid if there's that going on, and that could come from directions other than no kings. People who want to protest so that they can build, and I say protest not in the peaceful manner, so that they can build an opportunity for them to commit other crimes, hopefully, to gain substance, like raiding a clothing store, let's say.
Maybe
I want to create a problem for the police. I hate the police. I want an opportunity to bash the police. I'm going to go and do a pride parade because this is an opportunity to get more footage of the pride parade, and I'm all about the pride parade, or I'm all about right to life, or I'm all about whatever. And some people may go to protest whatever they want to protest. But the locations doesn't mean, the no king locations doesn't mean that people are going to show up there to actually protest. And if we theorized at the top of the show about the military, the National Guard, whoever that is in the construction outfits, tracking all of this, can they shut that down? Yeah. And if they do, what protests? Have I got any reason to, a whole bunch of scary things are going to happen on Saturday? That's what we call date fagging. So you got a day where Trump says something is going to happen, and then it becomes a day where everybody else says a whole bunch of other things are going to happen. And the Chinese are going to come over the Canadian border, and we're going to have martial law declared, and we're going to have to stay in our homes, and we won't be able to buy toilet paper.
How about this angle? What if Israel got some Iranian stooges or whatever to start shooting into the crowd and kill some people and police officers, and the Iranians are captured or killed? And now Trump has to say, they say, we need to join Israel and fight Iran because Iran just took it out on us. False flag.
Oh, look at this. The event's address is private in Lowell, Michigan. Okay, this is like a farm field, guys. I'm just going to tell you, Lowell is kind of like a small town. It's a cute town. It's a nice little town. But they
have a really nice little, by the way, as an aside, if you saw my what's it called? An art piece that I shared that I always forget the name of. The Soldier's Cross. I have a canine Soldier's Cross, so there's a dog next to the Soldier's Cross. The Soldier's Cross in Lowell, downtown, it's a little statue. It's very tiny. It's a very tiny little park right in the downtown Lowell area. That was my model for the art piece that I did.
Oh, cool.
And the dog was a real dog. that belongs to someone that I knew.
Very cool.
So anyway, yeah, I
so
agree.
check
It's a
this
small
out.
town.
So Indivisible. So I don't know if you guys been watching the research I put out there, but Indivisible is one of the main sources of income that they're money laundering through to fund this crap. Newaygo County, it's up near kind of where Karen is, and this is like in the middle of like freaking nowhere. All right. Newaygo is a cute little town. It's a very cute little town. And I just don't see a lot of protesters up there. Just saying.
No.
I don't know. Maybe somebody ought to just pick up a dozen donuts and give each of the protesters 3 of them.
That's Muskegon County. You got to get those Maple Island twists. I
Yeah,
call them
do
Maple
they have
Island
any in
twists because they're
Detroit?
Yeah,
awesome.
don't even start with me, Karen. The last few times you went up there, you left your friend Donna in a lurch and ate those all by yourself. I was so insulted. So
I send her pictures.
Yeah, she does.
Donna, can you share that link so we can see if there's anything going on around us?
Yeah, here, let's open it up and then see where you guys are. We'll go. David and Jeannie are over by Detroit. Everything east of Lansing to me, just so you guys know, is Detroit.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the way you divide Michigan, right? This is West Michigan, and there's all kinds of towns here. When you get on this side of Lansing, it's Detroit.
Yep.
So I just gotta give you some crap. So,
I agree. That's what I say. Where are you from? I say Detroit.
yeah, because okay, you got all these towns here, guys. Just so you know, if you're in Detroit, this is all Detroit to everybody to the west of you. So, which one you want me to click on?
I can't see any of them. It's too
Let's
small.
see. We have Ferndale.
What
We
else?
have No Kings Troy.
Well,
You
that's
notice,
getting
like,
close.
none of those have addresses.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just the general area.
So how do you do it? If you were going to participate, how would you know where to go?
You have to notify them.
So here's a question. Is
do you
this
get
like
your
a
check?
huge sting? You got to put your name in the address so they can come.
Maybe
People are
they
so
want to know how
stupid.
many people are going to show up.
No,
People
I
are
think
so
it's for the.
stupid
I
to
think it's for the
fall for
cops.
this.
The cops are out there going, "Hey, look! Here's the list. Go pick them up."
Yeah, just like registering with that Border Patrol app. If you're
Yeah.
illegal, register on this app. We'll
Looks
give you
like a honey trap,
$1,000.
walks like a honey trap.
That's funny.
What
All right,
about what's by the lake over there? Yeah, that one. No,
this one?
no, by the small lake to your
Roseville.
left. West, more west and south.
Or west and south.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of lakes there. There's Novi. There's
Novi.
Farmington Hills.
Both of those are by me. Both of them are loaded with liberals too. So is Ferndale.
Livonia. Okay.
Livonia's not. My cousin is the lieutenant there, the police.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Detroit. See, now they actually say Detroit there, but this, just so everybody's outside Michigan understands, it's all Detroit.
What are they calling it? The No Kings protest?
Yeah, it's nokings.org. There's like 180 NGOs that are going through this, and you should see my file of research I have on this. People's names attached to it, how much money have gone here. It's like you open the file. I showed the file on this to somebody yesterday, and I'm like, check this out. I've spent a little time looking up bad guys and bad guy plans here. This is fantastic.
There can't be money in it. It's a nonprofit, isn't it?
Oh, that's right. Just like BLM. It's a nonprofit, and Pantifa. Bunch of panty-wearing, miserable people, cowards.
What's the panties got to do with it?
Pantifa. It's like they had their little panty party there, and because they're getting their panties in a bunch.
Okay, good. They're just wrong because they wear panties. I was like, what?
No, it's like they got their Pantifa, their little panty parties because they got their panties in a wad. So yeah, isn't this amazing?
So Trump he said, somebody asked him something. I just saw there was a little clip where he said something about he doesn't feel like a king and he has to go through hell, I think he said, to put a bill through Congress. That's how he answered it. So he made a mockery out of the idea of him being a king.
Yeah. Too funny. Who else? Which other area you guys wanted me to look at? Oh, look at, there's almost like a line of them right off the. Here you go. There's wacko Liberalville.
I don't know. I'm interested in the ones that seem to be over in Canada and how that works.
Oh, you want to see better than that? We've actually got them across the pond here. See, I've had a lot of time to look into this and be disgusted with it. All right, so we've got one out here. We've got one in Australia now. We've got Hawaii, that's liberal. We've got Puerto Rico. We've got freaking Africa, Peru, and all the heck over Europe. So this is like, oh, this is like a global thing. Let's see where this is. I think we need to explore this map.
Well, I love the fact that as soon as they put it out there, then it became a matter of everybody wanting to know who funded it.
Well, that was my first question is who's funding this?
Well, that's why I started sharing that stuff with you, because I figured they gave you a head start when they put out the information that they did. Somebody had done some homework and made a thread, I think, on Twitter. And that's how it started for me, was I saw that. And I'm like, well, I don't need to do the digging. Somebody else is already at it. They're better at it than I am.
Do you want to see my, let's see, I'll show you. This is a version of it on my phone here.
I want to see what happens with a no kings protest in some of the countries that have traditional monarchies, such as England. How does that work? Are they protesting the King of England there?
Oh no.
Could be. They're not having a good time in England right now.
Right.
They're bringing in more and more illegal immigrants into the country, and they're paying for them to be in the hotels and such. And so the homeless people don't have an outlet, any place to go. And the people are constantly in jeopardy. And now the white residents of, what was it, London or just England? I don't remember. Are becoming the minority in schools because you have so many other people coming into the school system who shouldn't be in the country to begin with.
Here we go. We should all panic. Now the Vikings are getting into it.
Yeah, I think Denmark still has a traditional monarchy, technically, don't they?
Yes, I believe so. Let's see. Denmark stayed out of it. Let's see. Amazing. You know, there's no kings out in the Middle East there where they actually have kings. Well, this is free of no kings here because they're already all in on kings. Oh, sorry.
They probably be killed.
They renamed it for England.
Oh, no tyrants. Yeah, saw that.
That's why we left England.
All right. Well, this is actually one of those things that if you want to explore it, I did a video. I screen captured their little list of complicit NGO fakes, money laundering organizations. Let's see where it is.
What's the one in Australia called? Because they're technically a Commonwealth country.
Partners. Okay, let's go to partners here. This is kind of interesting. So I screen captured this and put it on my Telegram channel and my X account. So here's all of these. Oh, let's see who. Oh, the ACLU. Couldn't have guessed that was coming out. And Bernie and Bend the Arc and Black Voters Matter, Blue Wave America. Now the Catholics are in on it. And I'm just making a joke here because it's just what they label things.
Did you see that Bernie participated in? He's one of the sponsors of a bill. Oh shoot, what was the bill?
Demcast, democracy.
I just posted about it. It was a positive bill. I can't remember what it was now. I just posted about it too. And it just blew my mind. What was it?
Mennonite Action? was on that
No.
list?
Where is it? I missed it.
I'll find
Right
it
there
here.
at the top. You got Make Polluters Pay, May Day, Mennonite Action.
Oh, that's funny. Uh-oh. Mennonites and the Amish have fallen. It's all for optics, the whole thing. Real people don't do this sort of thing.
That's the question about that Bernie thing. That's why I bring up that name again, because he put in a bill for banning prescription drug advertising. There is something wrong there. Is he now flipped? Why? I have lots of questions about that.
Yeah, that's good. We should all be asking lots of questions. Well, anyhow, this could be an interesting weekend, no matter how it goes. Remember, wind the clock on the dashboard. Just take some time and think about things, and don't go into crazyville, and be amused at what you see a little bit and make a plan. But critical thinking is kind of important.
And on the note of wind the clock, we've talked about this before, but for off-the-grid purposes, does everyone have a mechanical clock they can wind? Or if the grid goes down, is everybody going to be just completely clueless as to what time it is?
I'm going to have to rename this segment of Off the Rails.
Yeah.
Was it off the grid today?
I think it was off the grid today. It's off the grid today. I'm just going to be off the grid, off the rails, whatever. It could go in a million different directions.
Why is it important to tell time accurately?
Well, what if you need to coordinate with other people around you?
When the sun reaches its highest peak.
I'm pretty extra sure that there's not many people that can do an azimuth reading just a guess. An altitude and azimuth. I think we might be a little short on that, but anyhow. Well, I tell you what, guys, I'm going to get going on my day because, like I said, I have been flying here. Erlene and I literally took off Tuesday at noon, and we drove to about 1 hour outside of DC, spent the night, went in the next day, ended up having to change our hotel once we got in there, which was a godsend. It was amazing. And we were very, 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 very busy that day. Lots of meetings, lots of things to see and such. And then that night we were at the Kennedy Center and had all the festivities there. It was interesting and amusing and interesting. And to the performers that were there, it was really amazing. I got to tell you, I was absolutely speechless at how because I'm an operations person, right? I love operations. It was the sets and the backdrops and the performers were just absolutely outstanding. And I think it's an amazing thing that we can come together and actually celebrate things and enjoy time together, no matter what it was. The drag queens that were there. There was some drag queens that were in the audience, which I found to be absolutely amusing also. And the weird thing was I didn't see them before it's the second half of the show. I would have thought that, if they were there in the first half of the show, kind of not like they're not theatrical enough to stand out in a crowd. I mean, there was like a 6'7" dude there with a full beard and a wig and a sequin dress on. You're not going to miss that in a crowd. Okay. Huh. There's no possible way. And so that was kind of interesting. Unless I was preoccupied with other things. I don't know, but absolutely stood out in the crowd. And but the performers were wonderful. And I really do think that it's a wonderful time to come together and agree on things and look at each other and say, I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Anybody that's here that's stuck with us this long is our true patriots. And
so when you say performers, you're referring to the play, the actual play, and not the rest of the show.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the other things in the audience were mostly actors too, quite honestly. But the actors on stage were absolutely phenomenal. Their voices were just amazing, and the characters that they played were absolutely phenomenal, hilarious. And the master of the house, I think he stole my heart with that role because it was so cartoonesque and in a way, and yet entertaining. I mean, it was like a bad guy. It was almost like a Jack Sparrow kind of a character where he played this thing up to as far as he could push the character. Absolutely hilarious. Hilarious bad guy, opportunist. So it was a lot of fun.
Pretty much every movie or TV show is only as good as its bad guy.
Absolutely. Great plots have to have great actors. And whether they're on a stage, that's a formal stage, or an informal stage that you kind of improv wherever you go, hats off to everyone. It was fabulous. So anyhow, well, let's do last words here. I got a little bit of time, but I think that most of you here know that my daughter ruptured her Achilles tendon as I was leaving for DC. And that was critical thinking. You want to talk about a critical thinking moment? That was it. And made that decision to go anyway because I knew she'd be in good hands here, and there were things that we had to accomplish. We're in a war, and you don't stop for as long as things are in good shape or acceptable shape. You continue on. So anyhow, what's some last words, guys? I want to go see my daughter.
Well, I don't have much to say other than just, be careful over the weekend. Don't participate. Stay away.
Yeah, stay out of, just stay away from all that stuff. Don't take your camera. Stay home. Observe. Don't freak out. Some people say give it a 24-hour rule when it comes to news that doesn't quite seem right, because a lot of times it'll shake out within 24 hours and you'll be able to discern more. There may be some threats of nuclear war and World War III and, oh, by the way, COVID and whatever else happening at the same time. It's chaos, chaos, chaos. I still don't think that this weekend is the big weekend. Whatever is going to happen. I think we've been hearing rumors of some kind of big happening, like a martial law kind of thing, for a long, long time. And I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen with a surprise. It's not going to be so obvious like a big parade weekend that Trump is planned that just so happens to coordinate with LA riots, prompting other riots all over the country. So I think it's going to fizzle out. That's my theory on it. But I could be wrong, and that's okay too. I just don't get too emotional about it. Go outside. Spend some time outside. It's supposed to be nice this weekend. Get yourself into the green earth. We have some new sod in the yard, and it's so nice. Get barefoot, ground yourself, get some sun. Turn off the media if you need to. Sometimes I just have to, and then I have to catch up, but I usually don't miss a whole lot of substance when I'm gone for a day or two offline. It's just life. It's good to have it just experience some life. If it becomes too much, just turn off the TV, turn off your whatever media you have, and spend some time with nature, and you'll be fine.
Helen Kimmel wants me to look into something in a minute, so I'm going to go back and look into something. Ralph, you're next.
Well, I think it'd be a good exercise for everybody to take a few minutes and see if you can figure out how to fake something. We talk about all of this stuff and how it can be faked. Go try it. Figure out how to do it yourself. Fake something and then, know how to do it. Don't go out there lying about it to the public and portraying it as real. I mean, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to try and fake something and then put it out there and tell people explicitly, this is fake and here's how I did it. but try and basically be the opposition to your own self, so you know how they do it, so that then you can demonstrate that to other people and you can call it out. It helps you to spot it if you know how to do it yourself.
Yep, we've got one in Jackson, Helen. It's at Withington Park in Jackson. There's one there, but there was nothing in Cuba. Thank you for the comment. So there we go. All right, boys and girls. Well, let's say a prayer and we're going to go on our day. Okay. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. We can actually be ourselves and talk about things that really make that we ask questions and not be afraid to say what's on our mind. And I think that's amazing. So, dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us all together. We're all just a little different, which is fantastic. Everybody has unique ways of seeing things, and we don't always agree with each other. In fact, we never agree with each other totally, which I think is an exercise that you've given us to learn how to get along and not have to be right and put ourselves into a position to help heal each other, broken hearts, shattered dreams, whatever it is that's plaguing our hearts at this moment in time. We ask that you give us peace in all situations, that you help us to turn to you when our emotions start to flare up, that we would hand it over to you so that we can be the calm in the storm. We ask that you would help our eyes to stay on you so that we can follow you. We're not leading you. That's not the point, because we can't, right? We want to follow you because we know that you see things in front of us, before us, what's coming, what's past, how it all interacts together. You're not bound by the same things we are. You're not bound by time or by space or anything like that. And we're thankful for that perspective. So sometimes it feels a little scary for people when they can't see or know exactly what's going on, but we don't even need to know that. All we need to know is you, and truly walk with you. We want to be your best friends. We want you to be able to count on us too, that we're going to be there and be available when you ask us to do things, and put our schedules down, put those things that we think are important down, and be willing to step just a little bit to the side, or maybe take a leap to the side to follow you on that path that's ahead of us without fear. And we just know that you're good all the time, and we're just so thankful for everything you've done for us and that you're doing for us, for being patient with us when we fail, forgiving us when we screw up, and putting us back on our feet, drying our tears, and loving us when nobody else will, but accepting us as we are. And we ask that you give us the eyes to see each other the way that you see you see each of us, so that we can truly walk on this earth with you. We're so thankful for you. And I just don't even have words to express the gratitude that I have for you giving us eyes to see, ears to hear, hands to work, feet to walk, that we can walk into any and all situation with bravery, because you are literally protecting us through all things, providing for us. You can heal us for all things. You can help us to walk through horrible things without being afraid, and turning those into wonderful, wonderful assets in order for us to walk into even tougher situations. It's a wonderful process of growing us up. And we thank you for everything. And we just wanted to let you know that we love you. We ask for peace through this weekend, discernment for all of us, protection for the good guys that are running these ops, protection for our military, the president, the countries across the pond here who are in conflict. We ask that you would send peace to this world, that we can live together, not trying to best each other or get more for ourselves, but to give each other and service to each other and you, and living a life of service. It's an honor. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
There we go. So, boys and girls, here we go. That part of the show, my 2022 protest, which is not going to end until we solve this thing. And so we're going to go to ding, 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 go to BrandenburgForGovernor.com, because I'm the best non-conceder who's ever not conceded in the history of the United States of America. And I'd like to have a discussion with the rightful president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, in cowboy boots. Who wears it better? It'll be me. And because I wear them every day. And then we'll get down to important things like Are you the double? Are you the real thing? What's going on here? I really want to just kind of have that discussion, and get down to what's real. We need to get down to what's real and ask those difficult questions that most people are afraid to ask because they don't want to be ostracized from the fake parties, the fake cults, and everything else that people put before God. It all needs to be torn down. Every bit of it needs to go away. And we need to be real with each other and real with God Almighty. He sees it all anyway. You don't think he hasn't seen every part of you or what you think or anything or your actions. He knows it all. You can't hide from God. Just the way it is. So you might as well be honest and be authentic. Be your real self. Don't script it out. Go into situations and say what's on your heart. Whatever it is, say what's on your heart. It's important. So with that said, God bless you all. God bless all those whom you love, and God bless America. Make it a great day and a great weekend. It's going to be fantastic. I think when things get tough, you're going to really see the stuff that people are made out of. And so we're going to go forward with no fear, run right into that fire. And if there's a problem, you know what? Be the solution. Don't wait for somebody to come and save you. Be the solution. And I think that's where you're going to find peace and trust God. So there you go. All right, I'm going to end this. This is where our conversation as friends, we're all friends, starts, and now it gets crazy. So, and I'll see you next week, Monday. Have a great weekend. Be at peace.
Bye. You too.